So let's look at these sentences. The tramp laughed. The story was interesting. The tramp read the diary. He told the girl an interesting story. He called her a clever girl. The tramp leaned towards the German girl. The tramp put the chocolate on the table. If we look at the verbs in these sentences, in the first sentence 46, we have the laughed as verb. It is not followed by any constituent. It doesn't have any prepositional phrase, any noun phrase, any adjective phrase. The story was interesting, right? We have a verb, was, a linking verb generally, or copular verb. It is followed by an adjective, a participle adjective, interesting. The tramp read the diary. Read is a verb and the diary is a noun phrase. So read is followed by a noun phrase. He told the girl an interesting story. If we look at this, told is a verb. Then it is followed by the girl, a noun phrase, an interesting story, another noun phrase. So we can say that it is followed by two noun phrases. He called her a clever girl. Again, called is followed by her, which is a pronoun in place of a noun phrase. A clever girl. A clever girl is also a noun phrase. The tramp leaned towards the German girl. So the leaned is the verb and it is followed by a prepositional phrase towards the German girl. So the tramp put the chocolate on the table. So we have the verb put, and after put we have a noun phrase, the chocolate, and after chocolate we have a prepositional phrase, on the table. So if we look at all these examples, we find that these are followed by one type of a noun phrase or other type of a noun phrase. So if we sum up all the categories, so we can say the subcategorization frames for the verb. So when there is no noun phrase, adjective phrase, etc., the verb is thus intransitive. When there is an adjective phrase, a noun phrase, or prepositional phrase, it's a copular verb like linking verb. So after linking verb, the story is interesting. This book is a very good adjective, or we can say he's a doctor, a noun, or she's upstairs, so adverb. So there are certain possibilities that can come after the copular verb. So monotransitive, it can have one object, so it can have either a noun phrase or either a sentence. For example, we can say, I know this person, so it is a noun phrase. Or we can say, I know that he is not in this city, so we have an embedded sentence, right? So ditransitive can have two noun phrases or one noun phrase and one prepositional phrase, right? So similarly, complex transitive, we can have a noun phrase and then there is a possibility. This curly bracket tells us that this can be an optional constituent, an adjective phrase or a noun phrase. And then we can have an intransitive which must have a prepositional phrase, right? And then a transitive can have a noun phrase and a prepositional phrase. So these are some subcategorization of the verb phrase. A verb phrase can be followed by no noun phrase. It can be followed by an adjective phrase. It can be followed by a prepositional phrase. It can be followed by a noun phrase. It can be followed by two noun phrases. So these are different categories, subcategories of the verb. And we must know that which complement follows which verb, right? For example, we must know that an intransitive verb cannot have a noun phrase, right? So their usage is very important to understand and to master for understanding language. So the square bracket in, for example, a mark of the boundaries of the verb phrases, that a verb phrase can be followed by an adjective phrase, an adverb phrase, a noun phrase, a sentence, etc. It is only the obligatory element within the verb phrase that are complements. Obligatory elements we cannot leave generally. However, we'll discuss in detail at other times. when we can say that even the complements can be dropped or left for some certain reasons. However, up till here, we can say that they are obligatory. The subject noun phrase which follows outside the verb phrase is not a complement to the verb phrase. The subject phrase always precedes, right? And it is not part of the complement. Rather, the noun phrase that follows the verb phrase is called complement. So we have only referred to obligatory complements, those elements whose presence is syntactically required. But we also shall see some possibility is for indefinitely many optional constituents to occur in a sentence. For example, he unfolded his magazine. If we look at this sentence, we find that it has the verb phrase unfolded his magazine. His magazine is the complement and obligatory complement. However, he unfolded his magazine for the girl quite unexpectedly. The two phrases in the round brackets are not obligatory, right? They are optional. And then there are three dots. That means that we can expand this phrase to a greater limit, right? We can bring more optional phrases into this sentence. Only complements are obligatory. So, right, what is the VP in the above sentence? It is unfolded his magazine. Italicized between brackets are optional. These elements belong to VP, but that are not complements. So they are not needed to complete the verb phrase. They merely add further information. So they realize the grammatical function of adjuncts. We call them adjuncts or adverbials, etc. So VP unfolded his magazine, and then for the girl quite unexpectedly. So these are adjuncts. A verb does not subcategorize for adjuncts. The brackets around the girl and quite unexpected indicate that these are not obligatory constituents, they are optional constituents. So adjuncts may be moved to other position. We can move one. We can say that adjunct can be brought to the initial position, within medial position, or the end positions. Whereas complement of the verb must be there on its place.